It was game day, and Yael Averbuch was wrestling with the usual nervous energy before a match. A midfielder for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels women's soccer team, Yael knew the game inside and out. She tried to push the self-doubt out of her mind. Yeah, you've got this. You've got this. The Tar Heels were playing their 5th game of the season. The winning team would inch a little closer to the Women's College Cup, a prestigious title in college sports. Yael squinted in the sunshine, the ball waiting patiently at the midfield stripe. Then, she took a few quick steps, and bam, a powerful kick. The ball soared through the air. 1 second, 2 seconds. It floated over the heads of the astonished defenders. 3 seconds, and then over the outstretched hands of the goalie and into the net. 4 seconds. Goal! And just like that, in 4 seconds, Yael Averbuch had set a record for the fastest goal ever scored in the NCAA women's soccer. Cheers from her teammates and the crowd rose through the air. Beaming in triumph, Yael knew she wanted to keep setting records and scoring goals. She wanted to be the best soccer player in the world. I'm Emily Tisch Sussman, co-owner of the soccer team Gotham FC and host of the She Pivots podcast. And this is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, a fairy tale podcast about the real-life rebel women who inspire us. On this episode, Yael Averbuch West, professional soccer player, Gotham general manager, and leader in women's sports. Competition was always a part of Yael Averbuch's life. She put her full attention on everything she did, even if it was just coloring at school with her friends. Growing up 20 miles from New York City in Montclair, New Jersey, she and her little sister Shira watched their parents train for their next big run and listened to their dad's stories about being an Olympic marathon qualifier. Yael was a serious kid, so when a friend introduced her to soccer when she was 7, she naturally became very serious about that too. But soccer, with all its running and strategy, was also really fun. She joined the soccer team in her town, and soon it was all she could think about. Once the referee blew the whistle, she was off and running, dribbling the ball down the field, dodging opponents from all sides, eyeing the goal, and kicking the ball so powerfully that it sent ripples through the net. Even from her earliest games, Yael caught people's attention with her skill. She liked being on a team and helping the group win. But for Yael, training wasn't a team sport. She liked to practice on her own, away from the group. Whether on a field or in the streets, being alone meant that she could focus solely on improving her technique. She was a lone wolf, and she liked it that way. After 2 years of learning the game, Yael knew what she wanted to be when she grew up. She wanted to play for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels. Known as UNC, this was the best college soccer team in the country. Being on that team would be her ticket to her ultimate goal, playing professional soccer for the U.S. women's national team. By the time she was 11, Yael was the only girl on an all-boys team. The group was fast and a little rough, but Yael didn't back down. The struggle made her even more serious and focused. I need to keep doing things that feel really challenging, Yael thought to herself. That's how I'm going to be the best. She spent her summer vacations at soccer camp training from dawn till dusk. Then, when it was quiet, She'd write down everything she'd learned that day. Every play, every strategy, it all went into her journal. When she got back home, she'd pull out her notes and practice what she'd learned at camp. One day, she thought to herself, all this practice is going to pay off. I just have to work a little harder. Finally, after nearly 10 years of playing on traveling and national teams and training on her own, 18-year-old Yael got the biggest news of her life. The UNC Tar Heels wanted her. She made the team. She would be number 17, playing midfield. She had accomplished the first of her 2 biggest goals. But when Yael got to UNC and started training, she was in for a shock. She was good, but her new team was even faster than she expected. For the first time, she couldn't always keep up, and something was happening. Yael was used to training alone, away from the group. Now, she was training with the team. One day, her younger teammate Casey asked her if they could train together on free kicks. Yael shrugged and agreed, even though she'd much rather practice free kicks on her own. She and Casey started meeting every week, kicking the ball over and over, trying to hit a 2-inch red flag hanging from the corner of the net. Hitting that tiny flag was not easy. They agreed that whoever hit it during practice would automatically win. Little by little, Yael started to look forward to free kicks with Casey. It was fun to hang out and train before the rest of the team showed up, and it felt good to encourage Casey and give her pointers. With Yael's help, Casey got better and better at hitting that red flag. Weeks passed, and finally, it was game day again. This time, the UNC Tar Heels were playing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. As the minutes clicked by, the game seemed to be slipping away from Yael and her teammates. It was Tar Heels 0, Fighting Irish 1. Then, Casey got a free kick. All their free kick sessions raced through Yael's mind. Casey knew this kick like the back of her hand. But could she make it? Casey eyed the ball. Then, a powerful kick, and swoosh! Into the back corner of the net, exactly where the red flag hung. Pure joy erupted inside of Yael. She'd never known this kind of camaraderie. She screamed at the top of her lungs and took off running, happy tears blurring her vision as she jumped to join the pile of her teammates. That goal was the push they needed. The Tar Heels went home victorious that day, winning 2-1 as a hardworking, united team. Casey even snags the red flag for Yael to keep as a reminder of their perfect goal. During Yael's 4 years at UNC, the Tar Heels racked up awards and won 2 national championships. And she set personal records too, like the 4-second goal. Yael was known for her solid, consistent play and set another record as a starting player in 105 consecutive games. She even got to play with the U.S. women's national team at a big tournament in China. With all this success, Yael was on her way to achieving her second life goal, playing for the U.S. women's national team full-time. After college, Yael was drafted to her first professional women's soccer team, Sky Blue FC, based in New Jersey. Returning to her home state, she felt like she'd come full circle, but not for long. Yael played with Sky Blue for a few seasons, and then, in 2010, her second major dream became a reality. Yael was drafted as a permanent member of the U.S. women's national team. Everything she'd worked for had finally paid off. As much as she wanted to enjoy it, there was something that continued to nag at Yael. Sure, she was competing with the best soccer teams across the U.S. and the world. But she knew she wasn't yet the best player on earth. She was too ambitious to be satisfied. She kept pushing herself to do more. The stress of the game and her own high expectations were fraying her nerves. Yael's body started responding to the stress in negative ways. She developed ulcerative colitis, a painful illness that made her stomach very uncomfortable and unpredictable. She had to go to the bathroom frequently, sometimes in the middle of games, and often felt too sick to play. Still, she kept pushing herself harder and faster. She signed on to play with a new team in Seattle, but the pain of her illness was too much to bear. After just one game with the team, Yael knew she had reached her breaking point. She would have kept fighting forever, working to be the best no matter the pain. But her body did what her mind would not let her do. She had no choice but to stop, whether she wanted to or not. It was time to walk off the field as a player and take care of her health. So, Yael had to embrace a new challenge, listening to her body and learning how to manage stress. She got the care that she needed for her ulcerative colitis, even getting major surgery to remove her large intestine. It was a difficult road, but she finally felt well again. Still, she couldn't leave soccer behind entirely. Yael found new ways to lead and put her independent spirit to work, creating her own business and a training app called Tekne Football. Knowing the struggles of athletes, she also started the National Women's Soccer League Players Association to protect players and ensure they're treated fairly. Then, her incredible career as a player, business owner, and mentor to other players made her the perfect candidate for another job. General manager for the New York, New Jersey soccer team, Gotham FC, formerly known as Sky Blue FC. After a life on the road, Yael came back to lead her home team. As the general manager, she works closely with the coaches and the team, strategizing and guiding, motivating and supporting. And other parts of her life blossomed around soccer too. She married a fellow player, and together they're raising 2 children. Though she's no longer on the field herself, Yael will always be a player in her heart and in her soccer journals. Her whole life, Yael had been documenting her training, her thoughts, and her dreams. Through it all, one lesson stands out. The training she did on her own made her a better player. But the most fulfilling moments were sharing the joy of soccer with others, on the field and off. And that is the greatest victory of all. This podcast is a production of Rebel Girls. It's based on the book series Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. The episode was narrated by me, Emily Tisch Sussman. It was produced and directed by Haley Dapkus, with sound design and mixing by Mumble Media. The story is written by Gina Gotsill, fact-checking by Sharon Lucas. Our intern was Arianna Griffiths. Our executive producers were Joy Smith and Jess Wolfe. Original theme music was composed and performed by Elettra Bargiacchi. A special thanks to Yael Averbuch West and the whole Rebel Girls team who made this podcast possible. Until next time, stay Rebel.